The $1,000 Blueprint: How to Build Real Wealth the Warren Buffett Way. It was a cold Tuesday morning in January 2026. Ahmed sat at his small kitchen table, staring at his phone screen. His bank balance read $1,043.27. That was it. That was everything. No inheritance coming, no rich uncle, no side hustle blowing up, just $1,043.27, a cup of instant coffee, and a quiet, burning desire to change his life. He had tried before. Crypto in 2021, lost $400. A guaranteed dropshipping course in 2023, lost $300 and 6 months of his life. Each time he chased quick money, it ran away faster than he could follow. But this time was different. This time, Ahmed had been reading, not scrolling, not watching 60-second reels about Lamborghinis and passive income. He had been reading, studying the life and philosophy of a man from Omaha, Nebraska, who started with almost nothing and became one of the wealthiest humans in history, Warren Edward Buffett. And what Ahmed discovered wasn't magic. It wasn't a secret app or a hot stock tip. It was something far more radical in a world obsessed with speed. It was patience, discipline, and a system. This is the story of what Ahmed did with his $1,000 and what you can do with yours. Never lose money. The first thing Ahmed wrote in his notebook, the cheap spiral one he bought from the dollar store, was Buffett's most famous rule. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. It sounds almost too simple, too obvious. Of course you don't want to lose money. But Ahmed realized something profound when he sat with that rule long enough. Most people break it constantly without even knowing it. They lose money to impulse purchases, to investments they don't understand, to lifestyle expenses that creep up slowly like water under a door, to get-rich-quick schemes that promise everything and deliver nothing, to debt that silently drains their future purchasing power every single month. Losing money is easy. The entire modern economy is engineered to help you do it faster. So before Ahmed touched a single investment, before he opened a brokerage account or researched any stock, he did something that felt almost boring. He protected his $1,000. He moved $200 of it into a separate savings account, one that was slightly harder to access, one that didn't have a debit card attached to it. He labeled it, "Emergency Only, Do Not Touch." This wasn't an investment. It wasn't going to make him rich, but it was a shield. Because Buffett had taught him that one of the biggest wealth destroyers isn't bad investments, it's being forced to make bad decisions during a crisis. When your car breaks down, when you lose a client, when a medical bill arrives, if you have no buffer, you do desperate things. You sell assets at a loss. You take high-interest loans. You withdraw from investments at the worst time. You break your own system just to survive. The $200 emergency buffer was insurance against desperation. And desperation, Ahmed now understood, is the enemy of wealth. He sat back and looked at what remained. $843. Good. The foundation was set. Now, what next? The most underrated investment in the world. Ahmed expected the next step to involve stocks, charts, dividends. He was ready to open his investment app. Instead, he kept reading Buffett and found a quote that stopped him cold. Invest in as much of yourself as you can. You are your own biggest asset by far. Buffett has said this dozens of times in different ways, and the more Ahmed thought about it, the more it made sense mathematically. If Ahmed invested his $843 in an index fund tracking the S&P 500 and it returned a historically average 10% per year, after 1 year he would have roughly $927, a gain of $84. But what if instead, or in combination, he invested some of that money in a skill that allowed him to earn an extra $500 per month? That skill would return $6,000 in the first year alone, not 10%, not 20%. We're talking 700% returns on the money spent learning. This is why Buffett calls self-investment the best investment. Skills compound just like money does, but they start compounding immediately, and they can't crash like a stock. Ahmed made a list of high-income skills that were in massive demand in 2026. Copywriting, writing words that sell products and services online. Video editing, with short-form content exploding, editors were in under demand. AI prompt engineering and automation, helping businesses use AI tools to save time. Web design and development, building websites for local businesses and startups. Digital marketing, Meta and Google Ads, running paid advertising for businesses. Sales, both digital and phone-based closing skills. He didn't need to spend thousands on a university course. He spent $300 on a focused, highly rated online course in copywriting, a skill he had always been drawn to, one that required no equipment, no degree, and could be done entirely from his laptop. The remaining $543 he kept for the next stage. But the course alone wasn't the investment. The investment was what came next. 6 weeks of obsessive daily practice, 2 hours every morning before work, reading books, dissecting great ads, writing practice copy for imaginary clients, then real clients on freelance platforms for nearly nothing, just to build proof, build confidence, build a portfolio. By the end of those 6 weeks, Ahmed had landed his first paying client, $150 for a simple product description page. It wasn't life-changing money, but it was proof the system was working. Understanding what you're actually buying. With $543 still sitting and waiting, Ahmed turned his attention to the market. But before he opened an app, he did something most retail investors never do. He studied what investing actually means. Because here's what Ahmed had learned. Most people don't invest, they speculate. They buy assets they don't understand, based on hype they read on social media, hoping prices go up so they can sell to someone else at a higher price. That's not investing. That's gambling with extra steps. Buffett's philosophy is completely different. When Buffett buys a stock, he isn't buying a ticker symbol. He is buying a piece of a real business. He asks, does this business make real money consistently? Does it have a moat, a competitive advantage that protects it from competitors? Are it run by honest, capable people? Is the price I'm paying reasonable relative to what the business actually earns? Ahmed wrote these 4 questions at the top of a new page in his notebook. He called it his investment filter. Now, with $543, was he going to analyze individual companies the way Buffett does? No, that takes years of study and access to detailed financial reports. But Buffett himself has repeatedly said that for most ordinary people, low-cost index funds are the single best investment available. Why? Because index funds do something brilliant. They don't try to beat the market, they are the market. A simple S&P 500 index fund, for example, holds tiny pieces of the 500 largest companies in America. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Johnson & Johnson, and 495 others. When you buy into it, you are instantly diversified across industries, sizes, and business models. And over every long period in history, 10, 20, 30 years, the market has gone up. Not every year, not smoothly, but consistently over time. It has rewarded patient investors. Ahmed invested $400 into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. He chose one with an expense ratio below 0.1%, meaning for every $1,000 invested, he paid less than $1 per year in fees. He set it to automatically reinvest any dividends. Then, he closed the app. He made a rule for himself. He would not check this investment more than once a month, because Buffett taught him something else. The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. Every time you panic sell during a dip, you hand your future wealth to someone calmer than you. The remaining $143 he kept as his next deployment fund, to be added to the index fund when the next paycheck arrived and the emergency buffer was already secured. The silent killers of wealth. Ahmed was now doing everything right, or so he thought. His $400 was growing slowly in the market. His copywriting skill was producing small but real income. His $200 emergency fund was untouched. He had no debt. But one Friday evening, he found himself on his phone looking at a new phone model that cost $980. He didn't need it. His current phone worked perfectly. But his friend had just bought one, and suddenly his own phone felt old and embarrassing. He almost bought it on a payment plan, just $82 a month for 12 months. He stopped himself, and he thought about what Buffett had said about debt and lifestyle inflation. The debt trap. Consumer debt, credit cards, buy now, pay later schemes, personal loans for non-essential purchases, is one of the most effective wealth destruction tools ever invented. Not because it's illegal or obviously harmful, because it feels reasonable in the moment. $82 a month doesn't feel like much, but $82 a month, if invested instead in an index fund returning 10% annually, becomes over $17,000 in 10 years. That's the real cost of the phone. Not $980, $17,000. This is what Buffett means when he talks about